Ray pulls into the parking lot in a truck that's 14 years old. The bumper has a dent he's never bothered to fix. The paint on the hood has gone chalky from the sun. He parks it between two SUVs that cost more than most people's houses. And nobody looks at him twice. Nobody ever does. That's sort of the point. Ray walks into the clubhouse in the same boots he wears to check on his rental properties. Nobody there knows he owns 11 of them. Nobody there knows his brokerage account cleared 8 figures last spring. To the valet, to the waitstaff, to the men in the pro shop, Ray is just the quiet guy with the ugly truck who tips in cash and doesn't say much. And 3 miles away, in a house with a circular driveway and a leased Range Rover out front, a man named Curtis is about to lose almost everything he has. Not because he ran out of money, but because everyone around him always knew exactly how much he had. 2 men, similar net worth on paper, completely different levels of exposure. One of them is a target. One of them is invisible. My name is John. Let's get into it. Here's something almost nobody tells you about money. The moment people know you have it, it starts leaving. Not all at once, quietly, in small requests, in slightly higher quotes, in friends who suddenly need a loan, in family members who start speaking to you differently at holidays, in contractors who charge you the nice car price instead of the regular one. A 2022 survey by a major wealth management firm found that nearly half of high net worth individuals said unwanted requests for money from friends or relatives were one of the most stressful parts of having wealth. Not taxes, not the market, people. Visibility doesn't just cost you socially, it costs you financially. In lawsuits that target the person with the nicest house on the street, in negotiations where the other side raises the price the second they clock your watch, in scams that specifically hunt for people who look like they have something to lose. So the real question isn't how do you get rich? Plenty of people already know that part. The real question is, once you have it, why does almost nobody teach you how to keep it invisible? And what does that actually look like in a normal life? Curtis made his money fast. A software company he'd built for 9 years sold for just under $6 million, and within a year, everyone in his zip code knew it. Not because he told them directly, he didn't have to. The new house did the talking. The leased Range Rover did the talking. The country club membership, the watch, the vacations posted from places with names nobody could pronounce. It all did the talking for him. Within 18 months, Curtis had loaned, just to help out, more than $180,000 to 3 different family members. He'd been sued once by a contractor over a dispute that, according to his own lawyer, would never have gone to court if the contractor hadn't assumed Curtis could easily absorb the legal fees. He'd been the specific target of a fraud attempt so detailed the scammer knew his kid's school and his golf handicap. Curtis didn't lose his money because he was reckless with investments.
He lost it in the 1,000 small leaks that open up the second the world knows exactly what you're worth. Ray built his wealth the boring way. Rental properties, index funds, a small manufacturing business he still runs himself. But somewhere around his 3rd rental property, Ray made a decision that changed everything downstream from it. He decided nobody needed to know. His properties aren't in his name. They sit inside an LLC. And that LLC sits inside a trust that doesn't have Ray anywhere on the paperwork a curious neighbor could find. His truck is old on purpose, not because he can't afford a new one, but because a new truck invites a conversation he doesn't want to have. His watch is the same one he bought in 2006. He drives past car dealerships every week and feels absolutely nothing. This isn't about being cheap. Ray spends real money on things nobody sees. His investment accounts are aggressive. His kids' education is fully funded. He flies first class when he travels, quietly, to places nobody at the club ever hears about. The difference between Ray and Curtis was never the size of the number. It was who got to see it. Financial advisors who work with high net worth families have a phrase for this. Asset protection begins with perception management. Before the trusts, before the LLCs, before any legal structure does a single thing for you, the way the world perceives your wealth already determines how much of it you're exposed to lose. Consider what visible wealth actually invites. Lawsuits disproportionately target people who look like they can pay. Plaintiffs' attorneys call this the deep pocket problem, and a house, a car, and a lifestyle are the fastest way to look deep. Family requests scale with perceived wealth, not actual wealth. Someone who looks comfortable gets asked for $500. Someone who looks rich gets asked for $50,000. Salespeople, contractors, even divorce attorneys on the other side of a negotiating table, all price differently once they've clocked what you have. Meanwhile, invisibility does something visibility never can. It lets your money keep compounding without a single dollar of it being renegotiated, requested, or litigated away. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men who has ever lived, has lived in the same modest house since 1958. That isn't an accident, and it isn't cheapness. It's a 9-figure strategy that has nothing to do with the number in his account, and everything to do with what the world sees when it looks at him. Ray's nephew gets engaged, and the family group chat turns into a small storm of expectations. Someone mentions that Ray, obviously, has the room to help with the venue. Someone else jokes that Uncle Ray could probably buy the whole wedding without blinking. Ray reads the messages, standing in his kitchen, in a shirt with a coffee stain on the sleeve. He could, in fact, buy the whole wedding without blinking. That's exactly why the messages exist. He writes back the same way he always does. He says, "Congratulations." He offers a gift in a completely normal amount, the kind any uncle with a steady job might give, not a cent more. Nobody in that group chat ever finds out what it actually would have cost Ray to say yes to everything they were hinting at. And because they never find out, they never ask again the way they would have if he'd once, just once, let the mask slip. There's a version of this conversation where someone says, "But isn't it selfish to hide what you have? Shouldn't people who can help, help?" Here's the problem with that instinct. The moment your generosity becomes known, it stops being a choice you make and starts being an expectation other people manage. The first loan becomes the reason the second loan feels owed. The one wedding gift becomes the baseline for the next one. Visible wealth doesn't just get requested once it gets requested on a schedule. And saying no gets harder every single time, because now there's a track record proving you obviously could. People who are quietly generous, and Ray is, more than almost anyone in his family knows, give on their own terms, privately, to the people and causes they actually choose. People who are visibly wealthy give on everyone else's terms, to whoever asks loudest, for as long as the money holds out. This isn't about faking poverty. It's about a handful of deliberate decisions, repeated until they become normal. Titling matters most. Real estate and vehicles held through an LLC or trust instead of a personal name, not to hide from the IRS, but to stay off the public property records anyone can search in 10 seconds. Spending gets deliberately mismatched from net worth. The car, the house, and the wardrobe all sit a full tier below what someone could actually afford, while the money that matters goes into accounts nobody ever sees a statement from. Big purchases happen quietly, paid in ways that don't generate a public paper trail or a driveway announcement. And conversations about money get met with a simple, well-practiced redirect, "We're doing okay," instead of a number, every single time. So consistently that people eventually stop asking. None of this requires lying. It just requires not volunteering information nobody actually needs. 5 years after the wedding, Ray is worth considerably more than he was that night in his kitchen. Nobody at the club knows it. His truck is a year older. His watch hasn't changed. He's never been sued. He's never loaned money he didn't offer to loan. He's never had a contractor quote him double because of what car was in the driveway. He's never had a scammer with his kid's school name in their phishing email, because nobody outside his lawyer and his accountant has ever known enough to build that profile in the first place. None of that shows up as a line item anywhere. It's not a number that appears on a net worth statement. It's the absence of 1,000 withdrawals that simply never happened because nobody ever knew there was something to withdraw. Ray still parks that same dented truck between the SUVs every weekend. The valet still doesn't look twice. Somewhere across town, another version of Curtis is explaining to another family member for the third time this year why he can't loan them anything else right now, and watching their face change when they don't quite believe him, because 6 months ago, he could. The money was never really the thing that separated them. The visibility was. If this changed the way you think about looking successful versus actually being secure, hit subscribe. This channel breaks down the real psychology of money every week. And drop a comment. Would you rather look rich or actually be rich and have no one know it? Because the people who build wealth that lasts almost never look like they have any.